recording of this session so that I can upload it on Moodle afterwards. Uh, for today, I'm going to give you the question for your midterm exam. And let me share the screen with you. All right, here is the question. Can you all see my screen? Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Please respond. Just give me a minute. G. All right, here is the screen that has your exam question and all the details and the rubric as well. So time limit, your presentation should be 3 minutes 30 seconds long. I recommend and I request that you adhere to the time limit. Although there are no separate marks for that in the rubric, but this is important. Why is it important? Let me explain. You are going to upload your presentation on Moodle. If it is too long, then you may have trouble uploading it. For that reason, I recommend that you can go to 4 minutes maximum. Let's say you do 4 minutes max, but I recommend that you do not go beyond that. The presentation is going to be of 25 marks. You already know that. Submission date is Tuesday, June the 1st by 11:59 p.m. Before midnight, you should, excuse me, you should upload your presentation on Moodle, and submission site Moodle only, please. Now, here is the question, which is important for you to consider. Here is the question, excuse me. So the question is, it's the same question that I have been discussing. Let me read it to you. Find an example of misrepresentation or underrepresentation or stereotypes in Pakistani or international media about Pakistani issues. Now, pay attention to different components of the question. This is really important for you to understand that you can find examples related to any of these. I have given 3 options: misrepresentation or underrepresentation or stereotypes. You can find example related to any of these. And you can also find example either in Pakistani media or international media. That is why there is a slash between the 2 words, Pakistani and international. Either you can present a Pakistani media example or international. So for the choice of media, you can choose either Pakistani or international. It's your choice. But there is a limitation that the example should be related to Pakistani issues. There is this you can bring an example of misrepresentation or underrepresentation or stereotype, but the example should be related to Pakistani issue. The purpose is to enable you to translate Hall's theory to local context. Also, there is this also as well. Please pay attention to this too. Also, relate that example with the scholarly work of Stuart Hall on the work of representation. So I am asking you to relate this example to the work of representation by Stuart Hall. You have to make this relevancy as well. Okay, any question about the question? Any confusion about the question?
No, ma'am.
All right.
Ma'am?
There are 3 important things for you to consider. First is there is choice between these three elements of representation. You can either find an example related to misrepresentation or underrepresentation or stereotype. It's up to you. You have to present only one example. All right. I'm asking you to present only one. Second thing to consider is you can take example either from Pakistani media or international media. Third important thing to consider is that your example should be related to Pakistani issue. And lastly, you have to relate it with Stuart Hall's work of representation. Please prepare a PowerPoint presentation that should have 3 to 4 slides. Well, your PowerPoint presentation can be as long as you want. I suggest your PowerPoint does not have more than 6 slides, because of course you will have to explain them as well. However, they should have at least 3 slides, minimum 3 slides, 3 to 4. And of course, first slide is always your title page. Rubric, I have given the rubric. Citation towards the end of the slides. You should give the citation. Like, of course, you will give the citation of Stuart Hall's work of representation, or any other source if you use any picture, if you use any media, if you use any newspaper, give the citation. Answering the question in entirety. So for example, if you only present the example of misrepresentation, underrepresentation, or stereotype, and you do not relate it with Stuart Hall's saying, then you are not answering the question in entirety, which means your answer is incomplete and you are going to lose marks for that. There are also marks for your overall impression and journal eloquence. I recommend that you write your script and you rehearse and then you record it, to make sure that your presentation has a really good overall impression. Fourth point is presentation of well-researched example. So the example that you are going to present, you can get that example from any media, from print media, from electronic media, from radio, from news bulletin, from talk show, from anywhere, from advertisement even. So whatever example you present, that should be a very well researched example. uh, I mean, from your presentation, I'll know that if you are the example that you are presenting, are you well knowledgeable about that or not. There are 5 points for that, and then there are 5 points for relevancy of answer and example. For example, you are presenting an example and you are talking about the issue of misrepresentation, let's say. But the example that you are presenting does not have to do anything with the idea of misrepresentation, which means you are actually giving an irrelevant answer and you are going to lose marks for that. Ji. Any question? I have written that you should present a PowerPoint slide. With that, I'm also going to add another information into this, which is late uh, submission will lead towards the deduction of 5 points. Ji, Adil, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is that in presentation we are supposed to present the link with Pakistan, or in slides we are supposed to tell you that what is the relevancy in context to Pakistan.
So the example that you will be presenting, of course, that will be the example of Pakistan. Neither you have to say it out loud in your presentation or in your slides. Just by the presentation of example, I will get to know that you are talking about an issue in Pakistan. So for example, if anyone, last week, Fatima Atiq asked me a question which was related to the misrepresentation of Malala Yousafzai. Of course, Malala Yousafzai is a Pakistani woman. She was a Pakistani female student. She has a Pakistani passport, and the shooting incident happened in Pakistan. So there is no question about the relevancy of Pakistan. Even if she doesn't say it out loud in her presentation that this incident happened in Pakistan, or if she doesn't mention it in slides, I know that she is presenting something related to Pakistan. Does this answer your question? Does this answer your question, Adil?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, I'm going to close this page, because very soon after I end this session with you, I will upload this document on Moodle along with a folder where you can submit your recorded presentations once they are ready. In last class, I told you that I myself will present, and my presentation actually will be a sample presentation for you to know that if you are asked to present, how you can present actually. Okay, so let's do that then. Wait a minute. Ji Fatma, go ahead.
I want to ask, can you please extend the time limit a bit, because we can also upload our videos on Google Drive and we may have more things to say, because 3 minutes and 30 seconds or 4 minutes, I feel they are very less compared to the to capsulate the entire answer effectively.
Are you asking about the time limit? Are you asking for more time?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So if that has to be the case, let's begin your working. Let's see how things unfold. And if that is the case, do let me know. In that case, do let me know, let's say by Saturday evening or by even Sunday evening. I'll create a Google Drive link for you all where you can upload your presentations. Okay?
Sure,
I
ma'am.
understand your concern. I too was thinking about that honestly, because when I was preparing my presentation, I am going to present soon after I answer your questions. When I myself was preparing, I thought that representation is a really vast issue. Sometimes some people may have to speak about that for a little longer time, let's say 5 minutes. If that is the case, do let me know. In that case, I'll create a Google Drive link and you can upload your presentations there. Shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you, ma'am.
Acha. Okay, should I begin my presentation now? Wait a minute, let me.
Right in the slides now.
G?
If we're referring to a video for the information of
Because
any
your
news
voice is
medium,
not understandable for me. And I just did a mistake. I paused the recording for when I was opening up my slide, and I forgot to hit the recording button again when I began my presentation. And those of you who are not attending today's lecture, of course it would be a problem. So I'll present again, never mind. Those who want to leave, they may leave. Those who want to stay, they may stay. Umar, better you can write your question, because there is some problem in your voice and I can't understand.
am I audible right now?
Yes, to some extent.
Ma'am, I'm asking that if we are referring to a video of any news medium for the information, we are supposed to give the thumbnails or the entire link. For instance, if it's a
Yeah, it's up to you. If you want to, if you give thumbnails, then of course you won't have to insert the video clip. But if you do want to insert video clip because you feel like it makes your argument very solid, very forceful, you may, but please in that case be mindful of the time limit. You may not want to insert a clip which is longer than 20 or 30 seconds, because if you are inserting a really long clip, it will shorten time for your presentation. ठीक है?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
अच्छा जी, और कोई question जी उसामा?
Ma'am, I have a question. Ma'am, do we have to give a particular example of a news channel like you gave the example of Nawai Waqt?
Any
So,
example from Pakistani media or international media? Any example?
ma'am, can it be general, like general, the media, overall media in Pakistan?
You can take any example. I found this example of Nawai Waqt, and I thought, okay, this seems to be a very good example of misrepresentation. Let's talk about it. So you have been watching, of course, TV. You have been watching dramas. You have been watching advertisements. You have been watching so much. Consuming so much media. So find any example and just talk about it.
Okay, ma'am.
Acha, I'm going to present again, and I apologize. I actually did not. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll present again, and if anyone can time myself, please, it would be great. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Firasat, and my topic today is pandemic versus infodemic. I'll explain my topic in a minute. I'll explain the title of my presentation in a minute. So this is the question for my presentation, which is already given on Moodle. For this particular presentation, I am only going to talk about the idea of misrepresentation. Since students were given the choice, either they can talk about misrepresentation or underrepresentation or stereotypes. For this particular work, however, I have chosen the idea of misrepresentation only. Here on the screen, you can see the copy of the newspaper Navai Vakt. It's actually the front page of the Navai Vakt, and since the newspaper is folded, you can only see the first half of the newspaper. I would like to explain why the masthead is changed. This newspaper was published on March 23rd, 2020, which marked the 75th anniversary of newspaper. In order to celebrate that anniversary, the newspaper published the newspaper with the same masthead that was published 75 years ago. On this corner, you can see the picture of the picture which is published in newspaper. Although the picture does not have any news story, it only has a caption. The picture, this is the, here you can see a line as well. I would like to read the caption of the picture, which says मॉस्को कॉलन कोरोना से बचाव के लिए शहरों को घरों तक महदूद रखने के लिए खुला छोड़ा गया शेर एक सड़क पर नजर आ रहा है. हुकूमत ने ऐसे 500 शेरों को मुख्तलिफ शहरों में छोड़ रखा है. In English, the caption will be translated as that Moscow, a line is set free to restrict citizens to their homes. The government in Russia has released such 500 lines to restrict citizens to their homes. Now, this newspaper published this news story on the front page on 23rd March 2020. However, this news story later was proved to be a false news story which circulated on social media. The newspaper did publish a corrigendum soon after that, very next day actually. However, the corrigendum was published on the third page and its size was very small and it was barely noticeable. The newspaper only wrote that this news story has proved to be false. It actually circulated on social media, but nowhere in their corrigendum newspaper took the responsibility that they actually published the story without verification. So this picture presents a very good example of misrepresentation of facts, misrepresentation of reality by one of country's leading Urdu newspaper. And as you can see that the false picture is being published on the front page. This exactly corroborates with the WHO's idea of infodemic. And here I would like to explain, justify the title of my presentation, Pandemic versus Infodemic, because according to WHO, the situation actually corroborated the situation of infodemic. Here I would like to relate my presentation with the work of Stuart Hall in his essay, The Work of Representation. Hall identifies two approaches of representation. On page number 6, he says there is a semiotic approach which deals with signs and symbols, and discursive approach which deals with language. So according to Hall, semiotic approach deals with how of representation, and discursive approach deals with effects and consequences of representation. As you can see, this example is a very good example of semiotic misrepresentation. So this example that I have just presented not only presents an example of false information, a situation rightly declared by WHO as infodemic, but also presents a perfect case in point of misrepresentation of reality in a foreign country. And at the end here, you can also see the works that I have cited for my presentation. I'll stop the sharing of my screen, and here you can see the original example. I have the newspaper. And if I bring this closer to camera, you can also see the picture of the line, and you can see the car in the background. With that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you for your time and attention. All right, how long was my presentation this time?
Approximately 4 minutes, ma'am.
All right, good. And I think this was second time. With rehearsal, I can limit it to 3.3 minutes as well. I highly recommend you do not go beyond 4 minutes. Okay? Maximum 5 minutes. Maximum 5 minutes. And I think you can upload 5 minutes presentation on Moodle. Do not go longer than that, please. All right. See, when I rehearsed, my presentation was timed. So please rehearse. Please, please, please rehearse. Although this seems like a only 3 minutes presentation, but this is a sort of presentation that requires an immense amount of homework. So I want you to do that. Okay? All right. Any questions? Let me share my screen with you one last time. And when you pay attention to rubric, see, I have given works. I have followed MLA style. In MLA style, instead of writing references, they write works cited, and I am following MLA style. And you see, there were 5 marks for works cited page. There were 5 marks for journal eloquence and overall impression. For my overall impression, you see, this is Stuart Hall's work, and I have written it in inverted commas. I have given proper references, you can see, and I have given inverted commas to explain the situation. Similarly, like there are 5 marks for overall impression and coherence. So I have also like my answers are very relevant. There is no irrelevant answer or irrelevant example. I have clearly talked about the idea of misrepresentation, and I have explained that out of 3, this is the one I am going to choose. So I have followed the rubric. You can see. Wait a minute.